So we have guests, Alderman John Nelson and
Suzanne Mayer.
Suzanne
I'm just
Mayer.
for public comment.
Okay, very good. And the meeting was posted in accordance with the open meeting law. There you go.
Okay. Approval of minutes from November 3rd. Everybody. Okay. Approval of minutes from November 3rd. Everybody should have got a copy of them.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying comment period. Yeah, we got this.
That would be me. Maybe I can have more than 2 minutes. Suzanne Mayer, 9733 West Ryan Road, and I just want to hopefully address the garbage down Loomis Road is absolutely horrendous. It's been getting worse in a year, and I've noticed it probably the last 3 years. This year was particularly horrible. That made me want to come to this meeting. You know, we have a quality of life sign that comes into Franklin, and it's trash before it and trash after for miles. And something really needs to be done. I think if we use some imagination and whatever, we can try to figure something out. I noticed an ad on Facebook regarding trying to hire people to clean that up, $9 an hour. But I think that you need to look beyond that because it's really getting bad, and I really hope that you guys notice that it's getting really bad and are working on it. So that's it.
So from Waste Management's perspective, I guess, right? So we have a host agreement with the city of Franklin, and our written in the host agreement, it's to manage waste, which we do within a mile of the front gate of the landfill. So that's pretty much 124th Street. So we have crews out there probably almost pretty much every single day managing that litter.
I'm sorry, you're getting a mile from 124th Street
From the entrance of the landfill,
at 124th Street.
which is on 124th Street.
Okay.
I would say still that the garbage should be picked up by the city. Garbage should be picked up by the city on their routes. You know, that's what you do. Pick up the garbage that's on when you're on your route.
What are you talking about?
The guys that work for the county, for the city, would pick up garbage that's you know, within the right of way.
It's a county highway, though.
Which road is it?
Is it
Ryan?
county or state?
It's county.
County.
And
Is it
Lewis.
Ryan
County
Road?
takes care of Highway 36.
Loomis is the one.
Loomis. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's county problem.
And I know that from working at the clerk's office answering phone calls, complaints, it's been noted, and I know engineering takes calls, but we talked to people about calling the county on that road. I mean, I don't know how that works out with everything.
But the Lions helped out twice.
So
I know the last 2 years for sure.
For the last few years, Club.
Yeah, I think you probably need to sponsor maybe a couple more groups. I think that could solve, I think.
But a lot of that is not technically the landfill. It's a few months ago, I followed a truck, city of Oak Creek, come across Rawson, come down the ramp, and he has garbage going all over, and I'm like, if that was me, I would get a ticket. That's the city of Oak Creek,
And he's going where? To
to the landfills.
Our landfill.
Now wait, this is where people get confused. We have 2 landfills on 124th
Yeah.
Street. That truck, I followed him. I was hoping he was coming into Waste Management so I could have a word with him, but he went to GFL's landfill. So a lot of people blame Waste Management, but they forget that GFL, which used to be Advanced, which used to be Onyx, which used to be BFI, when they built that landfill, I think when they built that landfill, I think BFI is the one that originally bought that land for that landfill. It's hard to say, well, it's coming from him. A lot of it's coming from GFL, which,
Sure.
like I said, it was a City of Oak Creek truck. Now, what do you do in a situation like that?
Well, it's interesting, and that's great information to know. And please understand, I'm not blaming Waste Management. I mean, that's not something I can come in here. The results of what's
Yes.
going on in that area of the city, and it's completely ruining at least Loomis Road. I've heard 112, just garbage flying over that road and stuff like that. So, I mean, my final point is the last few years. So something's changed, whatever that is. Maybe we need a new contract. I don't know, but the only reason Loomis looks okay is because it snowed. It was
I
bad.
will agree
It was
with you on
bad
that, yes.
before it snowed. The only reason Loomis looks okay is because it snowed. It was
I
bad.
will agree
It was
with you on
bad
that, yes.
before it snowed. So, I took way more than 2 minutes. I
No,
really
no, that's
appreciate
okay,
your
you got time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, I'll listen to what you say.
So, John Nelson, address is 7787 South North Cape Road. Current District 6 Alderman and disclosure candidate for mayor. And one of the things that I was here unbeknown, I didn't know Suzanne was coming here, but it was the same thing because I'm getting calls on it too. And it is in Waste Management. You have been outstanding for the years. I've been 6 years an alderman, lifelong resident of North Cape Road. It's wonderful. But it's the people taking the trash there that we're having all the issues with. In particular, John's Disposal helped us out when there's that old crappy motel. There's that old crappy motel that was there on 36 for decades. It's horrible. And the woman that bought that entire property removed all that crap to make it look much better, and she did that. Well, now people have been dumping things. And we did a little cleanup of her property to help her out. So I guess, I don't know if this has been explored. It is absolutely a county problem for that, but it's a problem nonetheless. And I don't know if anyone's reached out to the House of Correction, Assistant Superintendent Dodd, D-O-D-D. I believe he was one that was in charge of any inmate worker program, inmates going out and doing cleanup work, and that's something that I would suggest highly to talk to him regarding the possibility of inmate crews come spring to come out and do a cleanup. That's something that could be. In fact, them being a good partner of the city of Franklin since the mid to late 50s, the House of Correction's been there. I know they have a new name again, but the bottom line is the inmates that are there, from my experience working with more, was that inmates embraced getting out. They want to get outside and get fresh air, and it's a voluntary thing. And if they can get good time worked out, whatever Assistant Superintendent Dodd could be made aware of, and perhaps he may have a solution or offer up something, given the fact that we've got a couple months till the snow disappears, and then we get left with getting more calls. And I don't like to, the last thing I've ever done is just say, oh, it's a county issue, and hang up, because our county supervisor is Patty Logsdon. I know she's been involved in this somewhat, but her hands are tied. I'm just looking for a solution. I think that's, if I'm to fix a problem, I would start with that. I would start with that. And if, and this goes, and I understand, the 1 mile radius, but boy, it's all the trash haulers going down Loomis or Highway 36, depends, how you want to phrase it, semantics, but it is the problem, and it's the trash haulers that are doing it. And, unless it is the problem, and it's the trash haulers that are doing it. And, unless the PD's gonna hang out there and write them for spilling waste or load on roadway, which is what you would write a truck that. I've been in law enforcement 29 years, and you write those, but still, let's just try to fix the problem on both ends. Informing up makes it look better, and then I think that would be the solution. But I would offer up any help if this commission wants. I could also make a call. I have no problem trying to help, so I'm not looking to say, hey, here's what you should do. I have no problem making calls and trying to, you know, do whatever we can do as well, but it's my 2 cents. Thank you for your time. But it's my 2 cents. Thank you for your time.
Could I have 2 more minutes?
Yes, go ahead.
That'll be 15 then, and we got
We got time.
I
Cover the
just
roll.
want to mention the one property that stores some of the dumpsters. You know, I'm fine with that. Containers stay there for a week or 2, full of crap.
No, where are you talking? Are you talking right
She's talking
outside?
about Excel down
Yeah,
there.
she's talking about
Okay,
selling.
all right,
That's-
that's what I want
That's
to know.
nothing to do with the actual landfill, and we don't have any partnership with them. That's whatever they have set up.
You're talking right over by Doggy Daycare.
Across the street.
Across,
Yeah.
exactly,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, they kind of, if they can't get in queued,
Mhm.
they,
Excel, I think
They
that's
put
what
their
the name
stuff
was on
there.
it.
You should contact the state. There's no statute that allows them to keep the waste at their facility overnight.
okay,
So I was gonna point out that the city could request that the state have them, they have not a contract, but they have a statute that requires cleaning within a half mile of their entrance.
okay.
So that would give you some, but specifically, they are not allowed to store waste overnight.
Okay, it didn't make any sense to me
No,
either.
it's-
Make any sense to me
No,
either.
it really is unacceptable. I do the consulting for the city of Franklin.
Okay,
And I visit the landfill twice a month to check its operation, and I always go home on Loomis. And I've only seen garbage in there once, but I'm only out twice a month. And
Right,
I'm not
okay.
out there for weekends and so on, which I'm guessing Saturday we see it the most frequently.
yes, and it doesn't happen a lot, because I'm not like necessarily looking
Right.
all the time. Now I probably will, because that's.
Right, now I will do that, you
Now,
said that.
but,
So will I.
I have noticed when I've driven by a few times, like, that's the same container.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, they're allowed to drop it off. Like, let's say they're trying to get everything in one day.
Mhm.
They can drop it off and go back and get the next
And
one.
I'm totally fine with that.
And then run both of them to the landfill when they're within the vicinity.
Right,
But they can't leave it overnight.
yeah.
I mean, just don't do it.
Fred,
And
Okay.
they have
We
to be
should
covered regardless too.
get a hold
So
of
You shouldn't
And
be able
they're
to
never
tell,
covered.
you should be
GFF
able to tell there's
and
garbage.
talk to them
Yeah.
so that they can put a notice up to their drivers coming in
About tarpon.
about tarpon. Yeah. I mean, you can do it on our side.
Topic. We've had a lot of new drivers and a lot of
won't tarp, but a lot of them will.
tarping is.
Takes time.
Yeah.
They don't
Well,
like
no, it's been a point of emphasis for over the last 2 years about tarping and make sure boxes are tarped. If your tarper's not working, technically, the trucks are tarped. If your tarper's not working, technically, the truck's been going on the road.
Because, you know, we've got a general motion over there that we can talk to them, and let's get something going on that point to see if we can get some kind of, tell these drivers they gotta start tarping their loads.
Yeah, I mean, I won't have much influence over GFL.
And we gotta let them know, if they don't,
Yeah,
they're gonna start getting ticketed.
yeah,
That's all that's gonna happen.
yeah.
That property that they queue at, that's for you guys and for,
No, it's what they call a third-party hauler. So they don't own a landfill, they own the dumpsters.
Okay.
So they only provide the dumpster and the landfill, they own the dumpsters.
Okay.
So they only provide the dumpster and the transportation. So if you find a report or when you talk about the statute, it'll call out third-party hauler. So
so the
they,
property is taking those?
no, they are paying to go across the scale. They're not owned by Waste Management or GFL.
Right,
So and then they of course are charging more to whoever filled the dumpster, because that's how they make their money.
oh.
So they're not affiliated.
So the dump trucks dump it into those dumpsters that are sitting on that property?
No, they're
People
picked
fill
up.
them and pick them up. Those dumpsters leave the site, queue it up there, they get them all ready to go, so they can just do back and forth to the landfill.
They're using that for like a staging. you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
construction. But Excel, it's Excel, right, not Source?
Yes, that's
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Excel.
Yeah, so, John's, Excel, and Source are like the three little haulers that are around. And roll-offs, dumpsters and trucks, and their roll-off lot is right next to the landfill, but it's pushed way too back from the road to see anything.
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah,
Okay.
And them are full, them are all empty.
right.
Those are all empties.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, I'll keep an eye on it and, keep an eye on it and,
So
I'll
if
let
you
John
got-
know if,
Just give me a call otherwise too,
okay.
you know, where I am.
Yep, I do.
No,
Sounds good, thanks, Mark.
Okay, we'll
Thank
take
you.
care of
Thank
it. Thanks, John. I'll let you know what happens.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any comments on public? Okay, any comments on public comment period?
You know, I work for the county, and, you know, one of the jobs of the day is pick litter. Especially in spring, everybody would pick litter. And you do the whole route, the whole thing. And you're talking Loomis, so you're talking 36, right?
Right.
So that's the state have the money to take care of business. I mean, they are getting a lot of tax revenue coming off of these landfill sites.
I was gonna say, both sites have stepped out on Loomis Road, but there's nothing that requires them to.
Right.
I think what John was mentioning about maybe seeing if we could get some inmates out there. And John was mentioning about maybe seeing if we could get some inmates out there in spring. I think maybe we need to look into that a little bit farther. Yeah.
I mean, I can't really probably hire them through Waste Management.
No,
Based on our.
they're not hired.
Based on
just
our.
They're not
I would
hired.
be more than happy to go pick up bags and
Right.
support it, but,
What I'm saying, it's for being in there, but you don't hire them.
no, I'd be more than happy to support something like that.
Okay,
If it's
that's-
picking up bags and getting things back to the landfill and getting that cleaned up, I'm more than happy to support
I'll
that.
talk to John some more on it, maybe him and I'll get a meeting over there at the house and see what we can do to
Yeah,
get something scheduled, okay?
yeah, be involved in that and I'll,
Yeah,
like I said,
as long as you'll do the pickup in the bags.
I
and-
can support it, that's no problem.
Might be something that you need to do twice a year too, like in the spring and in the fall.
Right,
Because
yeah.
I know once the snow melts, by my house, I always go down 92nd Street and I got my can for aluminum and I got my
I know.
my bag for plastic.
I know.
My bag for plastic and another bag, and as I do it on the days the garbage is going, so that I can, if I pick up garbage, I drop it in everybody's garbage along the way. Because I don't want to carry that, but I take the cans all the way back home.
Now, I don't really truly believe it's all 100% the trucks.
No, it's
No,
not.
no,
A
that's-
lot of people trying to get to the landfill at 3:55 and driving quick, that they lose a bag and the car behind it hits it.
Right.
I seen that several times already.
Maybe what we should do is send a note over to the police department about this complaint and let them be aware of it more, so they can get somebody down there for traffic control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when she said about 112th Street, I have already caught people.
Oh, yeah. Dumping.
I have to,
4:30, 30, oh, I missed. Well, let's throw it on the side of the road.
write the license number down, call it in, and make them come back and clean it up. I've done that. Yeah, more than once.
One night I caught somebody at the gate, and I'm like, oh, I got this guy earlier that day and was looking for it. So I got a call you at, what, 7:30 that night?
Yeah.
And all I could hear was beer bottles clanking and pool shooting. Brad, we got a problem. This guy lost his dog here.
Yeah.
So for all that, was the dog on site? For all that, was the dog on site?
I don't think it was, no.
No, because one of you guys took it to jail.
Yeah,
He's got a right shot for that.
yeah.
Okay,
No domestic animals on the landfill.
we'll move on.
Wild at that point.
Let's move on to the financial report. Let's move on to the financial report. Everybody's got a copy of the financial report. Any comments on the financial report?
They'll be reimbursing now, right?
I have
Soon?
a check coming, I think Heather is either dropping it off today or
Yeah.
another $500 coming.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve.
okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Under new business, Joe Spears.
So I'm trying to develop better reports when we have a meeting. So I got slowed down to the office today, so Katie was nice enough to print them up for me. This is just a summary of what I have seen at the landfill since our last meeting. There have been 7 audits. For the most part, everything has been fine. Winter is the boringest time at this landfill. So we have had some mucky issues because our weather hasn't been consistent. That was addressed by putting a tracking pad in. I'll say that the tracking pad is in the last audit, so it's up on the website, so you can take a look at the product and how it works and so on. We had some odors in the very beginning of November. They were reshaping the landfill, so they were using larger than normal spacing and so on to get the size back down. The cover's been in place. Haven't been any odor complaints. The rest is the general observations. I don't see anything that uniquely needs to be called out, but I can if you'd like.
I see here by your notes that the Fort engine is back up and running.
Yeah, and they've been hitting numbers like 3,400 CFM, which would be really awesome if they were still getting paid what they used to get paid per kilowatt. But it is still, it's an alternative energy source and it's sustainable. So I mean, it really is one of those things that you can say Franklin
You're
is
not
kicked
burning-
in, and it's sustainable. So I mean, it really is one of those things that you can say Franklin
You're
is
not
kicked
burning it
into.
off, you're putting it back into the grid.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a lot better than just here in the fair run, burning it off for no reason.
Yeah.
You know,
What is destructing?
So in one case it's pumped into a turbine, and the turbine spins and generates electric power. There's also 4, they're all Caterpillars, right? So 4 yellow engines, it looks just like the equipment outside, that burn the methane, or the landfill gas, because they do very little processing for that. It turns a separate turbine and generates electricity. And then any excess, they've got a 30,000 CFM flare. So they've got a long way to go before they need anything extra. So that's we call it destruct volume.
Okay.
And it's really destructed down to a lot of the CO2 is lost because of the temperature it's at and so on. Most of the VOCs are vulcanized at those temperatures as well, so you don't get odor off the flare. The only real concern off of that kind of gas treatment is mercury, but they do mercury. That's the downside to our HHW program, that when it's not in place, is that's how mercury gets into landfills. And it doesn't take a lot of mercury to reach a condition where they may need a scrubber on the flare.
Okay. And it's that high a flow?
Oh yeah,
3,100.
yeah, well.
And it's that high a flow?
Oh yeah,
3,100.
yeah, well, I wish.
We're about 3,000, roughly 3,000 CFM a day, but it changes with weather and moisture, and it's constantly kind of moving.
The gas production curve, looks like a hill. Looks like a hill. And it's, depending on how much moisture they have, the tip of the hill either moves to the front of the curve or to the back. And they were never high on taking liquids until like the last 3 years, and even that, it's still controlled. But that curve is starting to lean forward. And then as they add more waste, so they, 2010, because that's when we had our big dump. That's when the waste industry kind of pittered out. They used to get 4,000 tons a day. So now they've got this large bulk of mass again, so their gas production is up. And of course, every time they cap, we'll see an increase, because even though they're still having to escape until they actually get a cap on. So yeah, phase 6 and 7 was perfect time to cap that, and the Clearwater Pond. So.
Any other questions? Anything else, Joe? Okay, do I have a motion to accept Joe's report?
Emotion.
Okay, a second? Okay, Bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item B, Waste Management's report. Brad, you're up.
Kind of like Joe said, winter's kind of our slow time, so there's nothing really groundbreaking happening right now. We're taking in, volumes are down a little bit just with winter, construction's down. People are doing less, so volumes just kind of dwindle with that. As far as correspondence with the track out issues that we had when the temperatures were changing daily from freezing to thawing, and trying to manage that was a little tricky, but I'll cover that a little bit more detail on the site operations. But as far as construction, we're working on our 2023 construction plans. The plans right now that we have budgeted for is a cap on the east side of the hill. With that, that's gonna extend our plan is to extend our hauling road to have now, to help with some of those track out issues that we're having. It also helps us solve a few other issues as far as some fill sequencing and gas infrastructure. So it should be a good move we're planning to do next year, or this year yet. We're doing a new cell, so we'll do that at the same time. And then infrastructure projects coming up in 2023. So we're working on a lot of that on the engineering side to get those bids out here as soon as we can. But everyone's busy, so it's taking a little longer than we expected. But those should all be moving forward. As far as filling, we're still in 3. As far as filling, we're still in 3A right now. Probably be in 3A for the foreseeable future. Just put a little more additional measures we did to help reduce the track out. So we put about 600 tons of stone in to do our road that goes up into the landfill, so that minimizes the amount of time that the trucks are actually in what we call daily cover material. So that's what sticks to the tires. So they're on a lot more stone to help with that. We added we bought some new track out mats, what they're called FODs, track out mats, that we've gotten a few days out of them of actual track out, and they seem to be working all right. And then we just increase our sweeping, which we pretty much do anytime the weather changes. So the struggle gets when we start off and it's freezing out. So, and then you get through the day, and as it warms up, we'll scrape the cover material off that's getting thawed out. But even if we sit there and scrape the cover material off all day, it's still standing. So it's just a battle of putting down fresh cover and trying to manage that. And when the temperatures are right about 32 to 40, it makes it an interesting game for us to manage. So I think we got a pretty good setup right now, and I don't see too many issues going forward. But we'll in the next week or two, we're looking at putting in a couple more horizontal wells just to help control odors and keep gas. Keep pulling gas off the hill. And then overall, residential yard is running smoothly. I've had 2 guys back there who've been back there for probably going on, one of them's over a year, and the other guy's been probably back there 6-7 months. So I've been able to keep some consistency back there as far as staffing. The hauling company has been okay with helping me get boxes in and out of there, but we've been supplementing that with a third party to help us get some boxes. So overall, it's been pretty smooth.
Any questions? Joe?
I just want to point out, so in 2004 is when JSA started to support the committee.
Yeah.
And that was when you had phase 6. And in 2020. Now, they started North Expansion West in 2019, and they're already going to be covering in 2023. I just want to point out how aggressive that approach is compared to the process of the past. Not good or bad necessarily, but just in the grand scheme of how the landfill has been operated. This is a really aggressive capping approach, and I know it's not a full cap. I mean, it's just going to be on one side, but it really will make a difference in the way the landfill has. I expect to see the larger gas volumes and so on peak up.
Any other questions? Management's report.
I'll accept it.
Second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Miscellaneous business, do we have any? Not hearing any, we'll move on. 3rd and November 2nd. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I do.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.